Thanks for staying with NDTV. This is the World Report with me, Arjun, Samar, Mahendran. And here are today's top international news stories. The United Nations Security Council has raised pointed questions to Pakistan over the recent Pahalgam terror attack in Jammu and Kashmir that left 26 innocent people dead. During closed-door consultations in New York, UNSC members questioned Islamabad about possible links between the attack and Pakistan-based terror group Lashkar-e-Toiba. Members also slammed Pakistan's recent missile tests and its nuclear rhetoric, calling them escalatory. The Council further refused to entertain Islamabad's attempts to internationalize the situation, instead urging bilateral resolution with New Delhi. Meanwhile, UN Secretary General Antonio Guterres has condemned the Pahalgam terror attack in strong terms. He urged India and Pakistan to de-escalate tensions, emphasizing that a military solution is not the answer. India, on its hand, had suspended the Indus-Waters Treaty and cancelled Pakistani visas after the April 22nd massacre. Here's what UN Chief Antonio Guterres had to say.
Tensions between India and Pakistan are at their highest in years. I deeply respect and I am profoundly grateful to the government of people of both countries and their significant contributions to the work of the United Nations, not least UN peacekeeping. And so it pains me to see relations reaching a boiling point. I understand the raw feelings following the awful terror attack in Pahalgam on 22 April. I once again strongly condemn that attack and extend my condolences to the families of the victims. Targeting civilians is unacceptable, and those responsible must be brought to justice through credible lawful means. It is also essential, especially at this critical hour, to avoid a military confrontation that could easily spin out of control. Now is the time for maximum restraint and stepping back from the brink.
Back home, amid heightened tensions with Pakistan following the deadly Pahalgam terror attack, the Ministry of Home Affairs has announced a nationwide civil defense drill on the May 7th, that's Wednesday. Now, this is to assess India's preparedness for a potential hostile attack. The exercise, for perspective, will focus on air raid alerts, camouflage techniques, and also safety drills at the village levels. Now, civilians, including students and volunteers, also will be trained in blackout protocols, firefighting, and rescue operations alike. It will be conducted across 244 civil defense districts with participation from local authorities, the NCC or the National Cadet Corps, the NSS and other agencies, making it the first such drill since 1971. A high-level review is currently underway at the North Block, chaired by Union Home Secretary Govind Mohan. Chief Secretary of States and other senior officials are also in attendance, indicating significant national coordination. The ministry, on its part, citing the current geopolitical scenario, has urged states to remain battle-ready. Meanwhile, National Security Advisor Ajit Doval met PM Modi a day before the drill to discuss preparedness. On the other hand, a Pakistani national has been apprehended from the LOC in the Poonch sector in Jammu and Kashmir. Meanwhile, further investigation is underway. To get us more on this, my colleague Nazir joins us now. Nazir, what's the latest you're picking up from Jammu and Kashmir?
Well, the situation clearly remains volatile, tense on the borders as we see daily clash of the firing between the both sides. The army has been saying that Pakistan again violated ceasefire along the line of control, across 600-kilometer line of control, which affected border areas in 4 districts in Jammu and Kashmir, Kupara, Baramulla, Rajouri and Poonch districts, and multiple sectors in these districts. And in the meanwhile, a Pakistani national has been apprehended in Poonch sector today by the army. Whether he strayed into the Indian territory or he had come here with some motive infiltrated, that would be known only after the proper investigation. He would be questioned by the authorities and only then we'd know what exactly was the motive or he had strayed into, which happens at times. But the fact is that after Pahalgam attack in which 26 innocent people were killed, Kashmir is literally on the edge. So far, the attackers have not been apprehended or tracked down by the security forces, despite a massive operation going on in Pahalgam and surrounding areas. That remains a big challenge for the security agencies in Jammu and Kashmir.
Well, thank you so much for that, Nazir. Thank you so much for getting us the latest. Moving on, now 2 weeks since the Pahalgam massacre, 26 innocent lives cut down in cold blood. National fury is mounting as India vows justice and retribution. Tensions with Pakistan are nearing a flashpoint. On the 9th of May, 5th and 6th, the Pakistan Army initiated unprovoked small arms firing from the posts across the line of control, targeting Kupwara, Baramulla, Poonch, Rajouri, Mender, Naushera, Sundarbani and Aknoor sectors in Jammu and Kashmir. Over in Germany, Conservative leader Friedrich Merz, bid to become Germany's 10th chancellor since World War II, failed in the first round of voting in Parliament on Tuesday. Now, this only by 6 votes, a vote he had been widely expected to win smoothly. Now, Merz needed majority of 316 out of total 630 votes in a secret ballot. He could only manage 310 votes. The parties were now regrouped to discuss the next steps, but it was not immediately clear how the process would shape up. The lower house of the parliament, also called the Bundestag, has 14 days now to elect a candidate with an absolute majority. If that also fails, the constitution allows for the president, in fact, to appoint the candidate who wins the most votes as chancellor, or to even dissolve the Bundestag and hold a fresh new election. Over in West Asia, Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu has said that a new offensive in the besieged Gaza Strip will be an intensive military operation aimed at defeating Hamas. But he also stopped short of detailing just how much of the enclave's territory would be seized this time over. In a Hebrew language video message on social media platform X, addressing the Security Cabinet-approved plan to expand the Gaza offensive, Netanyahu in fact said that Gaza's Palestinian population will be moved for its own protection, he claims. Netanyahu also said that Israeli soldiers would not go into Gaza, launch raids and then retreat. Now, his remarks come as Israel's political and military leaders approved plans to expand the Gaza offensive and in fact take over aid deliveries to the war-torn enclave. Here's more.
בלילה ישבנו עד שעה מאוחרת בקבינט והחלטנו על פעולה עצימה בעזה. זו הייתה המלצת הרמטכ"ל, ללכת, כפי שהוא אמר, להכרעה של החמאס, ובדרך הוא חושב שזה יסייע לנו גם לחלץ לחטופים, ואני מסכים איתו, אנחנו לא מרפים מהמאמץ הזה ולא נוותר על אף אחד. זה מה שאנחנו עושים. אנחנו תהיה הנאה של האוכלוסייה כדי להגן עליה.
The Israeli military has said it carried out airstrikes against Yemen's Hodeidah port. Now, this comes a day after the Iranian-aligned Houthis fired a missile that struck near Israel's main airport. The military has said in a statement that it attacked what it called Houthi terrorist targets in Hodeidah and its vicinity, as you see on your screens. And Russia claims Ukraine launched an overnight drone attack targeting Moscow for the second night in a row now. Russia's aviation watchdog said on Telegram all 4 of the capital's major airports have been closed temporarily to ensure commuter safety. Moscow's mayor Sergei Sobyanin took to social media stating that at least 19 Ukrainian roads had in fact been destroyed before they reached the city from different directions, he outlined. He further mentioned that some of the debris had landed on one of the key highways into the city nonetheless, but there were no casualties reported. Ukraine, on the other side, has not yet commented on the reports, which come after fresh incursions into Russia's Kursk region on Monday. Over in Canada, Prime Minister Mark Carney will head to Washington for his first in-person meeting with US President Donald Trump on Tuesday. Now, the visit comes at a critical moment with high-stakes issues on the agenda. The Republican leader continues to push trade war and threats of annexation. Staying with Canada, India has launched a strong diplomatic protest with Canada after a pro-Khalistani rally in Toronto raised provocative slogans including "Kill India" and depicted PM Narendra Modi and his senior minister in derogatory manner. The 4th May rally also called for the expulsion of Canadians of Indian origin. In a stern message to Ottawa, New Delhi urged the new Canadian government under PM Mark Carney to act against separatist elements promoting hate and extremism. This is also, for perspective, the first official communication between the two sides since Kali's election last week. Meanwhile, my colleague Mahas Siddiqui gets you the latest from Ground Zero.
Just when it appeared that the relationship between India and Canada could improve under the leadership of the new Canadian Prime Minister Mark Carney, the same old point of friction seems to be re-emerging, that of pro-Khalistan extremism on Canadian soil targeted at India. India has lodged a strong protest with the Canadian High Commission in New Delhi over a parade in the Greater Toronto area that carried hateful messages against the Indian leadership as well as the Indian citizens residing in Canada. Sources have told NDTV that India conveyed in the strongest possible terms that the unacceptable imagery and the hateful language that was used, the anti-India rhetoric that was raised in this parade will not be tolerated, and that Canada must take action against the anti-India elements and those who profess violence, extremism and separatism. This is a long-standing issue between the two sides, and India has repeatedly told Canada that it needs to act against the anti-India elements if it wants the relationship between the two sides to be normalized.
The Trump administration has frozen future federal grants to Harvard University, further escalating its battle with elite institutions. Now, the Education Department under Linda McMahon has said that Harvard must address anti-Semitism and race-based policies and also employ more conservative faculty. That's why the university has sued, calling the move an illegal overreach that in fact threatens critical research and academic freedom. U.S. Defense Secretary Pete Hegseth has ordered a 20% reduction in 4-star officers across the military. Now, this is part of a sweeping overhaul of the Pentagon under President Donald Trump's second term. Hegseth has said that the cuts aim to boost strategic readiness and reduce bureaucracy, not punish the top brass. Additional reductions will hit the National Guard and flag officer ranks across all U.S. services. Now, according to reports, Bangladesh's former Prime Minister Khaleda Zia returned home from London after 4 months of medical treatment. Zia went to London on the 8th of January for advanced medical care and was admitted, in fact, to the London clinic. Now, after being discharged from clinic, the BNP chairperson moved to her eldest son, Tariq Rahman's residence, where she has been receiving treatment. Zia's return is reportedly set to put more pressure on Dhaka's interim government and its chief advisor, Mohammad Yunus, to conduct elections in the country as soon as possible. The Vatican will deactivate mobile signals and enforce a total communications blackout ahead of Wednesday's papal conclave. 133 cardinals will enter complete isolation in the Sistine Chapel to elect the next pope. Now, this is as per a centuries-old secrecy tradition. As time is limited to a short break, see you on the other side. Welcome back. You're watching The World Report. On to some business news now. Well, gold prices surged to a 2-week high as investors sought safety amid renewed global trade fears. US President Donald Trump's sudden warning of more tariffs on pharmaceuticals shocked market confidence. Spot gold climbed 0.7% to over $3,350 an ounce, while US gold futures rose more than 1%. Now, analysts have said that the safe haven demand could also rise further depending on the Federal Reserve's interest rate decision, which is due Wednesday. Skechers is going private in a $9.4 billion buyout by 3G Capital. It's the largest in the sneaker industry history till date. The company, in fact, hit hard by tariffs on Chinese imports, has said that the move will help it navigate economic uncertainty outside the spotlight and mire of public markets. iPhone giant Apple has sold $4.5 billion worth of bonds, its first debt offering in 2 years. This as it looks to buy back stocks and repay upcoming obligations. Investor demand was strong, with orders topping the $10 billion mark. Now the move comes as companies race to issue debt before the next US Federal Reserve meeting amid easing credit spreads after tariff relief announcements. Tech giant Google has launched a new film and television production initiative called 100 Zeros, partnering with Range Media to fund or co-produce creative projects. It is aimed at showcasing Google's AI and spatial tech while tapping into a content industry hit by high costs and looming Trump tariffs. Now, the venture is already linked to indie horror title Cuckoo. OpenAI has scrapped plans to shift power to a for-profit entity, saying its non-profit parent will remain in control. Now, the move follows mounting legal and public pressure, including a lawsuit by competitor Elon Musk, who accused the company of betraying its founding mission to serve humanity. Staying with Elon Musk will press ahead with his lawsuit against OpenAI despite the company's decision to maintain a non-profit status. His legal team has said that the case, which is set for trial in 2026 now, aims to block what Musk views as a dangerous drift away from OpenAI's public benefit goals. And Ford Motors has suspended its financial forecast for the year, warning of a $1.5 billion hit to earnings due to US tariffs imposed by President Donald Trump. The automaker has further said that rising costs, especially on imports from China and Mexico, are disrupting operations and prompting, in fact, a shift in logistics to cut costs. Toy giant Mattel has withdrawn its earnings forecast and will raise, in fact, prices in the US, citing surging input costs from new tariffs. The company plans to cut reliance on Chinese-made imports as the escalating US-China trade war rattles global supply chains and holiday sales projections as well. In the world of sports, world number one tennis player Jannik Sinner is back on the court after serving a 3-month doping ban. Sinner has said that he is keeping expectations low ahead of the Italian Open. The Italian star missed tournament since January after cloth ball was found in his system, which authorities in fact attributed to massages from his physiotherapist. Zhao Xingtong has become the first Chinese player to win the World Snooker Championship, defeating 3-time winner Mark Williams 18-12 at the Crucible Theatre in Sheffield. The 28-year-old completed a remarkable comeback, to say the least, after a match-fixing ban, entering the tournament as an amateur and battling through 4 rounds of just qualifiers. US President Donald Trump has announced that Washington, D.C. will host the 2027 NFL Draft. The 3-day football event is expected to draw over 1 million fans to the National Mall, marking its first return to the capital since the 1940. The announcement follows news of Washington Commanders' new stadium deal as well. Rising Australian golfer Elvis Smiley has earned a last-minute exemption to the PGA Championship at the Quail Hollow after topping the Australian Tour Order of Merit. Now, the 23-year-old, son of former tennis star Liz Smile, has said that he is excited nonetheless for his second shot at a major after missing the cut in last year's British Open. Police detained a man in his 70s after he crashed a car through the gates of actress Jennifer Aniston's Los Angeles home. Officers have said that the suspect was held by security and taken into custody without incident. The motive still remains unclear, though. Bollywood icon Shah Rukh Khan made his Met Gala debut in a classic black Sabyasachi coat, marking the moment of Indian representation at the global fashion event. Now, known for his shunning red carpets, SRK told Vogue he wanted a look that in fact stayed true to his style and his Indian culture. Singer Rihanna has confirmed she's expecting her 3rd child with rapper A$AP Rocky. The pop icon cradled her baby bump at the Met Gala in New York, where she dazzled on a navy carpet adorned with daffodils, as you see on the screens right now. Meanwhile, the couple already has 2 sons together. Listen in to what A$AP Rocky, in fact, the expecting father, had to say.
It feels amazing, you know. We started holding that, you know, and it's time to just show the people what we was cooking up. And I'm glad everybody's happy for us, because we definitely happy, you know.
Celebrities from film, fashion, music, sports, politics, and even social media worlds ascended the steps of the Metropolitan Music of Art Monday to sip cocktails, have dinner, and of course were dressed to the nines in their best ode to black dandyism. This year's Met Gala theme was superfine, tailoring black style. It marks the Met's first show-centered exclusivity on black designers and the first in more than 2 decades, in fact, to spotlight menswear. It's also a tribute to the rich legacy of dandyism. It's a style for perspective that has long carved space for radical self-expression, especially for those overlooked or misunderstood. This year's hosts were Pharrell Williams, Lewis Hamilton, Coleman Domingo, and A$AP Rocky. In fact, listen into what fashion expert and CEO of Fashion Bomb Daily, Claire Solmers, had to say about the event.
I think the theme was very tangible. You know, in years past, it's like the flowers of time. You're like, how do I interpret that? You know, and here it's like a suit. And you're like, okay, and I could wear, you know, a short. I can wear just a jacket. There's so many ways you could wear a cape and so many different fabrications and colors. So I really love that people had fun with it. And I think that's why it made sense for everybody.
And Gigi Hadid turned 30 with a glamorous bash in New York and an Instagram post, in fact, that confirmed her relationship with Bradley Cooper. The supermodel shared a photo of the couple kissing, ending months of speculation about the high-profile pairing. Well, that's all we have for you today. Take care and have a wonderful Tuesday.